Hello and welcome to Exploited Crimes and Technology. My name is Opal Singleton, and we come to you every Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock right here on AM 590, The Answer. Well, I'm very, very grateful for this show. It's been an interesting week this week. For whatever reason, I've been out speaking in the public. I've been to a bunch of private meetings and even a couple of parties put on for friends that had birthdays and things like that. And I have met so many people this week that listen to this show. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. I'm always in awe that, I talk into a microphone and I try to do reasonable research on it. I want to be accurate. I want to be good. I want to be helpful to you. And I also want to be a bit entertaining for you because it is Saturday afternoon. And if you can't relax at 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon, then who can? Okay. But I have met so many of you lately that want to share your thoughts with me, share your thinking about what's going on in our society. And literally, you seem to be as frustrated as I am. And it's an interesting thing. I decided that I would put out on our promo card that we're going to make this show about the power of denial. And I have been thinking about that a lot lately because it's political out there. We can't help it. You had the first convention, then the second convention. I was telling my producer, I was trying to find a text from somebody that wanted a speaking engagement. And I had to go through over 200 texts in a 2-day period to find it because I'm just inundated with people who want me to send money or want me to support them or want me to understand their side or watch their show. And you just say to yourself, now the truth is, in my case, I've been researching for 14 years on subjects. That reminds me, many of you may be new to this show, so I better clean up my act and tell you who we are. My name is Opal Singleton. I am the president and CEO of an organization called Million Kids. Now, I am not the only person with Million Kids, okay? I happen to be the one that's probably the most visible and spokesperson, but we have some great advocates that are out there. They often will work with their own private organizations, but they do public speaking on behalf of our organization. While I'm talking about it, Linda Berg-Herring, I'm going to have her on again before too long. She was a great friend of mine. And she is a private investigator that does public speaking about child sex crimes. And she also handles real cases and has for about 40 years. We have Tanya Holt that lives up towards Bakersfield and just lives in a cesspool of crime where that exists. So many areas in like Oildale have been taken over by gangs and fentanyl drug gangs and like that. And so she operates up there. And we have Nancy that goes out and speaks. She's been trained in child sex crimes for a very, very long time. And Clark Morrow, we had him on one day. And he is retired from the law enforcement, but he also will often go and speak. And Dina Murray, oh my gosh, she's just an amazing young lady. Well, she's not totally as young as some of this that we have, but she is an amazing lady. She raised and legally adopted 12 foster kids. And she does a lot of our marketing and packaging of our stories and like that. And then we have Chris Kleiss that helps us with our social media. So to let you know, our organization combats child sex crimes, whether it's crimes like online exploitation, known as sextortion, or blackmail with a photo, or even a deep fake now that we have artificial intelligence. We also deal heavily in prevention and intervention with child sex trafficking. And it's just not easy in the state of California. They are legislators in the state of California. And I do my very best not to get political, but I cannot resist any longer. I went to Sacramento. I testified before the Public Safety Committee, and I'm going to tell you that whole operation up there is pretty much corrupt. And I'm very, very proud of our local people. We have Senator Sayarto that really fights against all odds. I always say his name wrong, but Bill Asale or Esale, I think it's Asale, out of Corona. Amazing people. I can't think of Oberdorfer's name out of San Bernardino, but some amazing people that get up every morning and go against the odds. And what is taking place in the name of fighting child sex crimes is political, whether I want to go there or not. I don't like to go political because many people care deeply about child sex crimes, and so I don't want to offend one side or the other. But I do want to talk about the power of denial. And I say that because I hear people saying things, and I don't know about you, but you watch these conventions and you hear these speeches, and they're out there stumping to try to get you to vote for them. And they say things, and you just say to yourself, that is not true. But you seem to believe it. And I want to talk about the power of denial, because I believe that in these people's minds, they're not saying misinformation. Maybe they are, but how on earth can anybody believe that that sort of thing is true? So I say to myself, is this denial or is it dishonest what they're saying? Now we have all these fact checkers. We didn't used to need to have fact checkers. We had people with moral values who told the truth as they see it, believe it, and as has some sort of evidence to it. But now with artificial intelligence in the middle of the probably one of the most contentious political environments ever, we have all kinds of information that is out there being thrown around that has no ability to be proven correct, quite frankly. And so I want to say, what is the power of denial? And I kind of go through this myself. I was thinking about this as I was getting ready for the show. We have denial in our own addictions, by the way. All of us have denial. We maybe, is it dishonest with ourselves, or we just don't want to look at it? I thought about all the people who have addictions to alcohol and drugs, and they don't want to look at it because they don't want to give it up. Same way with obesity and eating addictions, or even anorexic, which is a type of addiction to being thin. I was thinking to myself this morning, you can't put a 200-pound body in a size 2 pair of jeans. I don't care how much you deny it. The weight is there, okay? So we have denial, and then we have the obvious to the rest of us. That simply isn't going to work, and that's simply not true. I think some of us have addictions to adrenaline addictions, and we deny that. And I'm a little bit guilty of that. Do you ever get your cell phone and it tells you you've been on the phone 4 hours and 15 minutes yesterday? I'm going, really? I must have got up early. Seriously, how did this all happen that you do that? But adrenaline addiction is a very real thing. And I know people that just keep their world in a turmoil so that they can be feeling like they're engaged and they have value, and they would deny that they have adrenaline addiction. But if you look at how our world changed, every one of us now, including our little kids, pay attention, mom and dad, because little kids get addicted to technology in a big, big way. By the way, so do big kids and old kids get addicted to technology. You get 15 minutes, what do? You play a little free cell. Okay, you go on to your local TV channel to see who killed who, or if the war is still raging on there, or what kind of outrageous things some politicians said. And then you go on to Facebook to see if there's a fun little video, or TikTok, or one of those things. And we get adrenaline addiction that takes us away from our reality. I know people who are addicted to things like Facebook and those reels that are out there. Now, some of them are pretty entertaining, And in many cases, you can learn a lot. So, this is an interesting conversation from my point of view because we want to teach our kids to use technology intelligently and not put themselves in a place where they're going to be violated. But we also have to pay attention to the fact that technology can give us knowledge and information in ways we never had even 3 to 5 years ago. How many of us will be talking about, we were talking about Lawrence Welk the other day, and I looked him up. I couldn't believe all the kids he had, and he only went to 4th grade. So your knowledge availability is mind-boggling, but you can get addicted. It's break time. This is Opal Singleton. Be right back. Hello, this is Opal Singleton of Exploited Crimes and Technology. Hey, let me tell you about my favorite restaurant in Riverside, Monarch Asian Bistro. The atmosphere and decor are simply stunning. The service is great too. It's a wonderful environment for a romantic dinner or a family get-together. It's not just another Chinese restaurant. The Monarch Asian Bistro is upscale and it serves Thai food as well as unique Asian-inspired dishes that are just fabulous. My favorite is the pad see ew beef. My husband likes the orange chicken, and the Chinese chicken salad is always great. Our friends sometimes order the Emperor's Choice or Monarch steak. It is my favorite go-to place. Go ahead and give it a try. It's Monarch Bistro in Riverside, Canyon Crest Town Center next to Ralph's. They are open for lunch and dinner every day but Tuesday. Go ahead, give it a try. You're going to love it.
Real estate sales in the Inland Empire are really hot. Sean and Colleen at Caldwell Banker Armstrong Properties in Riverside are proud to sponsor this show. They are the best in the Inland Empire. They're fair, honest, creative, and they care about you and your situation. If you're in the market to buy or sell a home, call Sean and Colleen at 951-529-4066.
Hello, this is Opal Singleton of MillionKids.org. I believe the 4 most powerful words on earth are I believe in you. So we created a challenge coin that says, I believe in you on one side and stand tall, you are loved on the other side. This one-of-a-kind challenge coin is a perfect gift for birthdays, anniversaries, graduation, Christmas presents, or just an anytime gift for someone you love. What a powerful message for a parent or a grandparent to give to a young person. This 2-inch coin is made of polished gold. It's striking to look at, and it is priceless to hold. It is packaged in a beautiful black velvet gift box. What a great way to leave a legacy of love that will last forever. To purchase this coin, go to millionkids.org/gallery. Each coin is $25. Go to millionkids.org/gallery to purchase and give a legacy of love.
AM 590, The Answer.
Hello and welcome back to Exploited Crimes and Technology. This is Opal Singleton with millionkids.org. Million Kids is called Million Kids because more than 1 million kids are trafficked each year throughout the world. I can't tell you the number of times I get introduced, though, as 5 million kids, 1 million kids, 8 million kids. It is just simply Million Kids. And we're not millionkids.com. That's a rock band. We are millionkids.org. We're an organization that's existed since 2008. We started right here in Riverside. We are a national organization. We have thousands and thousands of followers. Before Facebook took us off back in 2020, we had nearly 50,000 followers. So we're back up to 7 or 8 now on Facebook. But I think a lot of people are no longer on Facebook. They're getting their information in different ways. Well, I want to talk about the power of denial for a lot of reasons. Because as I watched some of those conventions over the last month, I say to myself, that's simply not true. And yet the people that are saying what they're saying obviously believe it's true. So you say to yourself, is it denial or is it dishonesty? Well, I looked up from a professional, since I'm not a psychologist. I looked up from a professional. In this case, he only gave his name as Leo. It is current information. The headline, Denial Psychology, Understanding the Power of Denial in Our Lives. He says this is a defense mechanism. By the way, we don't know it's a he in this day and age. We don't know what the pronoun is for Leo, but I'm going to go with he. Okay. He's saying a psychological defense mechanism that many people use to avoid facing difficult or uncomfortable situation. It involves denying or minimizing the existence of a problem to protect oneself from negative emotions associated with it. I want to take that a little bit further. This is my input, not his. And I think that psychological defense mechanism that many people use to avoid acknowledging the truth. In other words, they will pick the answer they want it to be, whether or not it's that right answer, whether it's provable or not. And one of the challenges with this, and the reason why I'm talking about this, is that once you make these statements, even if they're not true, in a day and age of artificial intelligence, it will be picked up, restated, identified over and over, put some salacious headlines with it, and artificial intelligence will rebroadcast it over and over and over until we all say, well, it must be true because I've heard it like 8, 9 times now. They're saying in psychology, denial is considered to be one of the most primitive defense mechanisms used by individuals who are unable to cope with overwhelming emotions or experiences. And I want to take that a bit further and add on to Mr. Leo here, assuming it's a Mr. Leo, it's a way of avoiding acknowledging the truth. And I believe that that is very, very true. They take a fact, they pretty it up, they package it up, they put a bow on it, and they say it 15 or 20 times till everybody thinks, well, that must be true. So as I look through this, he said, understanding denial. There are different types of denial, including simple denial, just refusing to acknowledge the existence of a problem or situation. Let me just take my personal input on that, because I think that's exactly what's happened here in California. You know, our attorney general at the time, who happens to be running for office right now, was one of the authors, the main author of Proposition 47 and later Proposition 57. And the story was given to all of us that we have to let a lot of people out of prison because they're in prison just because of their color or their ethnicity or their sexuality. And we either have to build more prisons or we need to consider those people that maybe are nonviolent and let them out. The problem was nobody described what nonviolent was. And most of us go, well, I guess if they're nonviolent, and Proposition 47 passed, then Proposition 57. And some of those propositions rewrote things that we're living with today, such as shoplifting is where the value of property stolen does not exceed $950, or writing a bad check, or forgery, or receiving stolen property, or grand theft. As long as it's under $950, then it's not really a problem. You see, here's the problem that I think has to be looked at in these kinds of situations. This all happened before we had an administration that opened our borders. So now you have kind of this hallelujah trail all coming together. You have literally millions of people coming in that you do not know who they are. And some of them are very, very fine people. And so if you say to anybody out there, well, look, you know, some of them are cartels, some of them are have serious problems. Some of them are related to gangs. Many of them are coming in that potential terrorists. And you say, well, you know, that's just not fair to that group of people. Well, anytime, the reason why a country has borders is that they have a process and procedure to interview the people coming in and decide whether or not they're allowed to stay. But the minute that an administration or a state government decides they're going to do away with the rule of law and say, oh, no, we're a sanctuary state, and anyone can come in, and by the way, we'll get them some extra things, we'll take care of them, and like that, then you are going to have a problem. So is it denial or is it dishonesty? Because they're using this statement, all of this needs to take place under Proposition 47. They even put in a ballot title, Criminal Sentences, Misdemeanor Penalties Initiative Statute. When they did the SB 357, which made that bill, SB 357 passed in 2022, but it didn't go in effect until 23. By the way, I don't know if it was denial or dishonesty, but that bill was kept in a desk drawer for 9 months until our governor, in that case, passed the recall election and the temporary election, or excuse me, the preliminary election. And then suddenly it was quietly signed in October, and most people never really heard about it. SB 357 is the California Safer Streets Act. Okay, talk about denial. And that bill made it so they rewrote the penal code for the state of California that regulated whether or not law enforcement could intervene if you're loitering to solicit for street prostitution. Now, how can that be the California Safer Streets Act? Is it denial? Nobody realized how bad this is going to be? It gets worse. I testified up at Public Safety Committee, and it was a fascinating thing because I quoted the mayor of San Diego. Both the mayor of San Diego and the mayor of National City now have literally lines of women outside the naval bases there that are being brought in from all over the nation by pimps, by gangs, by cartels to be sold for sex on the streets of California because SB 357 says that law enforcement can no longer intervene. When I testified before the Public Safety Committee about the fact that the mayor is saying, and by the way, I didn't take the mayor's word for it. I drove the streets of San Diego and National City, and I witnessed this myself at 9 a.m. Poor women who are barely dressed. My heart bleeds for those women being brought in across the nation, lined up in front of the naval base to sell sex because it is the California Safer Streets Act that allows that to happen. I am going to tell you in that case that Senator Weiner contradicted my testimony, and he said, you look like a nice lady, but I'm going to tell you the mayor of San Diego is lying. It is not like that. It has not increased. Now, he didn't give me a chance to rebut, but all I really wanted to say, have you been there lately? Have you driven those streets? Have you been out at 9 o'clock in the morning to witness it with your own eyes? Because we don't have to just quote him, go look at it yourself. And yet all of them are in denial, or maybe they are in dishonesty. I'm not sure. But I'm going to tell you that when that bill went in effect, the number of women being put out on the California streets increased substantially. This is Opal Singleton. It is break time, so we'll be right back.
Societal Shift, A World Without Borders and a Home Without Walls. This is the most important book you will read this year, especially if you have children or grandchildren. We are living at the most important time in all of history. In 2020, the entire world will be connected by internet, more than 6 billion people coming together. Technology will provide many great advantages for our kids, but a world without borders for our kids is also a world without borders for pimps, predators, pedophiles, cartels, and organized crime. It is a home without walls because 87% of the kids sleep with their phone. It is the greatest societal experiment of all time. Our kids are technology geniuses, and their parents are technophobic.
Some are techno-impotent. New apps come with no warnings on how a predator will use them against our kids. Advancing technologies like encrypted messaging, vaporware, artificial intelligence, cryptocurrency, and the dark net will challenge law enforcement, teachers, and parents to keep kids safe. Recent research states that 9,000 kids a day are being blackmailed with a naked photo, and 58% will meet their predator. It is indeed a societal shift, and one in which most parents are unprepared. If you are a parent or grandparent, teacher, counselor, or social worker, please take time to read Societal Shift. Only $18.99 plus $6 shipping. Order today at millionkids.org. That's millionkids, millionkids.org. It'll be the greatest gift you can give your family and yourself. Order Societal Shift today. Million Kids takes checks and credit cards. Opal Singleton, the author, will personally sign the book and send it to you. Again, go to millionkids.org and order Societal Shift today. Join Million Kids. Keep our kids safe from predators.
Hello and welcome back to Exploited Crimes and Technology. We are talking about the power of denial. You know, we all use denial. I'm no different than you, by the way. I got on the scale the other day and weighed myself and I said, that thing is lying. So we all use denial. Nobody is like a saint in that area. We all have things we shouldn't be doing and that we justify, or we get into a conflict with somebody and we are sure that we have the right position on it and like that. So it is true that we have denial as a mechanism. I was looking up understanding denial, simple denial. I talked about refusing to acknowledge the existence of a problem. How about minimizing the extent of the problem? We see that all the time now in the news because part of Proposition 47 and 57, made it so that it's harder and harder to arrest people, for instance, for stealing. And we do this at the same time that we have an open border. And in many of our cities, thank God not in Riverside County or San Bernardino County, but many of our cities, they've defunded police. So crime has gone up and up and up. And, you hear politicians go, well, we need to be able to protect our cities, and we're doing that. And we have these programs where we're putting people through rehabilitation programs to help them. But, we're doing all of these actions at the same time that's going to increase crime. You cannot tell me that you can open a border and lower the ability for law enforcement to intervene and change the laws on what you can arrest for, and then start letting lots of people out of prison at the same time, that you're not going to see the impact of it. We're seeing gangs come in, as I understand it. Some of them come in legally. That's called tourism burglary. And I see it every day when I get up and I start my research. It'll be in Riverside, in Los Angeles, maybe in San Gabriel, maybe in Newport Beach, where they have the Argentina gangs, the Venezuelan gangs. And I'm not picking on those people. I know people from there and they're very fine. But there are gangs that come in because they can. And they will go through and they will case out a house. One of the things that I saw, I'm going to divert here a minute, forgive me, but I saw an article by Riverside PD, Ryan Railsback, who's my hero. He's an amazing man that works over at RPD, Riverside PD. And they were saying one of the best ways to stand against these foreign gangs, other than to, of course, have a big dog, okay, or if you're not into dogs, a camera, and protect yourself. But he was suggesting that you go onto Google Images, Google Maps, and there is a way there by Googling, you Google to find out how to do this, to get the picture of your home off Google Maps. And I think that's an incredible idea. Do that because they can see everything about you. I looked at my home under Google Maps. I'm like, whoa, We need to get that off of there because these gangs come in and there's a large group of people that are doing this. They're very well prepared. They know exactly where the front door, the back door, what your schedule is. They know all about you. I was hearing a case that we talk about. And by the way, if you want to follow me and kids so that you can be educated on these things, go to meandkids.org and sign up for our newsletter. We do In the News every week. Every now and then we'll ask you for money, but not much. And we're not very good at it, quite frankly. I need to get a lot better at that. But one of the things that I saw was this teenage kid, was being blackmailed through a video game. And he had been coerced into sending a photo, and they're starting to blackmail him. And one of the things that caught my attention is they knew everything about it. Because, think about this, your lives are open books on the internet. They knew his name. They knew his mom and dad's name. They knew where his dad worked. They knew where his mother worked. They knew where he lived. They had a picture of his house. And so think about what that's like if you're starting to blackmail your kid. And if your kid has sent a nude photo, now this kid realizes, oh my heck, they could show up at my door any minute. Well, first of all, mom and dad, we need these conversations with kids before they send that nude. I divert a minute, but we need to get out of denial about our kids being on the internet. If they're on the internet and they're posting things, sooner or later, they're going to post something that can cause problem for you or them. And by the way, it isn't just our kids. Grandma and grandpa's pretty bad about that too. And I have a cousin who's 88 years old and her roommate is Alexa. And I'm like, for Pete's sake, do not be telling Alexa everything about yourself, because Alexa is going to make a fortune selling your private data. And I told her, I said, I bet by now they know the size of your underwear. So think about technology and your lives, but also think about the denial of the reality of the world that we're living in. In California, we live in a world where they're passing bills that will not protect you. They will say they're protecting you by being able to call it the California Safer Streets Act. But how in the world, by allowing law enforcement to not be able to intervene in street prostitution, how is that going to make your life safer or your child's life safer? Up in Oakland, they had to close down 2 Catholic churches because the young kids could not get through the line of women selling sex to get to their mom or dad waiting out in the car. And they finally had to give it up and shut it down. So by naming it the California Safer Streets Act, is it denial? Or is there deception there? I will suggest that you make your own decision on that. But what we are seeing here is people that will stand up and say, I'm tough on crime. I created bills that protected you. I created bills that literally will lower the crime rate. And I'm going to suggest to you that we're going to be kind and say it's denial. But look around, because we now have more crime in California than we have ever had. And it's crime that affects us personally. And it isn't, the big corporate crime that they keep talking about in grocery stores who make too much money. No, I'm talking about gangs that have come in our borders and are roaming our neighborhoods, gathering up in an organized fashion things about you as they come in and rob your area. I'm talking about gangs that literally will seduce your daughters online in video games and dating sites and seduce them into a boyfriend relationship where they end up being trafficked. I'm talking about gangs who now bring in unaccompanied minors who owe people money and put them out for forced sex. And they do not get to keep that money. It is a way of using children in our community so that they raise money to be sent back home. I was just blown away. There's this bill going through Congress right now in California, and it's called SB 1414. This bill would have made it so that if you sell a minor for sex in the state of California, it would actually be a felony. But it did not pass. One side rewrote it and said, okay, if you sell someone that's 15 or under, it'll be a felony. But if they're 16 or 17, it's still only a misdemeanor. A 16, 17-year-old person is not yet an adult. And to sell that person for sex and have it be a felony, or excuse me, a misdemeanor, is beyond the pale to me. So are we in denial? Or maybe we're in dishonesty? I'm not sure. That we need to pay attention to what's going on around us. More than ever, we need to be informed. We need to listen. We need to understand what's being said and what is the motive behind it. We can no longer take these bills for granted. We need to research them. And I'm going to suggest to us that we have to educate our kids about how to research these bills and the impact on these bills, and to be able to have strong cognitive reasoning. Being an adult in the next generation is going to be one of the greatest challenges in all of history, as far as I'm concerned, because it will be very, very difficult to get the facts and get the truth. My name is Opal Singleton. This show is Exploited, Crimes and Technology, every Saturday at 3 o'clock. Stay with us. One more segment. We'll be right back. Hello, this is Opal Singleton of Exploited, Crimes and Technology. I want to tell you about a book I wrote called Seduced, The Grooming of America's Teenagers. It's all about how predators access, groom, recruit, and exploit our young people using social media, online gaming, video chat rooms. Technology is changing at the speed of light, and we have to understand how to keep our kids safe from predators. So you can get this book by going to www.millionkids.org. It's $16. I'll sign it, and I'll ship it to you personally. We hope that you will order this book, educate yourself about how to keep our kids safe in this day of changing technology. Join us each Saturday for our radio show at Exploited, Crimes and Technology at 3 o'clock on AM 590, The Answer.
Custom Service Systems, a proud supporter of Million Kids, is a family-owned and operated commercial cleaning company servicing the Inland Empire and surrounding areas since 1974. CSS takes pride in their ability to maintain the business facilities they serve and their long-lasting relationships with their valued clients. CSS provides a variety of cleaning systems customized to client needs, including deep cleaning and disinfectant to be COVID-19 compliant. From basic office cleaning to windows and floors, CSS will clean up your mess so you don't have to stress. Custom Service Systems cares about families and communities and wants to give back. Custom Service Systems are proud supporters of Million Kids to keep kids safe from predators. If you need the best cleaning services for your business or corporation, contact Custom Service Systems at cssclean.com. Again, cssclean.com, or call 951-781-9345. That's 951-781-9345. You will know you found the best. Custom Service Systems.
Hello, this is Opal Singleton of Exploited Crimes and Technology. Let me tell you about my friend Doris Anderson at Remax Realty in Upland. She is amazing. She's kind, she's patient, but she listens. And she's informed, and she will help you with your real estate transaction in a way that works for you. Doris, in full disclosure, often supports the work of Million Kids because she cares about young people. But she knows how to analyze a market, how to market a property, and how to find just the right transaction for both buyers and sellers. If you're looking to buy or sell real estate or invest in income property, contact Doris Anderson at Remax Realty, 951-733-8899. That's 951-733-8899. 951-733-8899.
AM 590. The Answer.
Hello and welcome back to Exploited Crimes and Technology. We are understanding the power of denial today in many different realms. So as I looked it up, because I wanted the experts to tell us all about denial, one of the kinds of denial is minimization. This is Mr. Leo or Ms. Leo. We're not really sure here. Anyway, it says it's a type of denial where a person acknowledges a problem exists but downplays its severity. This type of denial is often seen in people who are in an abusive relationship or have suffered trauma. They may say things like, it's not that bad, or other people have it worse. And it's an interesting statement to me because that's exactly how trafficking takes place, by the way. You know, if you've seen The Sounds of Freedom, it was a good movie, but doesn't have anything to do with trafficking in the U.S. In foreign countries, you often have trafficking where people come along and kidnap the kid. And I won't say they can't kidnap you here, but most of the time they fall in love online. And then they don't get out because they are in denial about how far they are in. And when I read this minimization, I thought to myself, this is exactly how grooming takes place in trafficking. You know, a young girl, especially in trafficking, and in trafficking, there's more girl victims. Now, under sextortion and blackmail, we're seeing a few more male victims in that case. But what will often happen is she'll meet some guy online or meet him at the mall, and they think they're hot and heavy, and this person tells them everything they want to hear. They start separating them off from the family so that they only have the power of influence on the victim. They will often take the victim out of the area, and then the violence begins. They're out there doing commercial sex, and these people are providing the services, but they are not getting to keep much of the money. Oftentimes they are beaten, they are raped, they are robbed from, and it's a life of heavy violence and abuse. And these people will say to themselves, the victims that are in it, it's my fault. I should have earned more money. It's my fault. I shouldn't have made him mad. It's kind of like domestic violence of, well, if I hadn't done that, he wouldn't have beat me. And so they will minimize it rather than to face the fact that they have been caught up in a life of abuse and exploitation and start to seek ways out. They'll think that if I try harder, if I do better, then this won't happen. And it is a way of literally denying the reality where we're at. The other one is projection, a type of denial where a person attributes their feelings or behavior to someone else. The type of denial is seen in people who are denying the issues of the problem. They'll often accuse others in this case. For instance, a person that's cheating or a partner may accuse their partner of being unfaithful. I thought about that because I thought about what is going on the national stage with the open borders and all that is happening by letting people out of prison early, and the increase in crime, and the fact that it's very, very difficult to prosecute these people. And then we decrease the amount that we support law enforcement. And then we blame the other side that it is the way that it is. Wasn't like that when I was in office, is how it'll all sound. And I listen to this denial and I think to myself that what we're doing is protecting ourselves from the reality of where we're at. When I read about the minimization, one of the thoughts I thought about was abortion. Now, this is a real touchy issue, so I get that. But one of the things I don't understand, and this is really, really important to me, is that I understand a woman has a right to choose and should have. And I understand there are times in a woman's life where she may not want to carry a child a full term. But the numbers that I read a while back was something like 43 million babies have been aborted over the last administration. Now, I can't prove if that number's right or wrong. What if it's 28 million or what if it's 60? I don't know the number. But when I had heard that, I say to myself, you talk about minimization. I get that there are situations where a child should not be brought into the world, but that is to suggest that abortion is not killing a child is an interesting term to me. Now, I understand there are times that it should happen, but it's an interesting thing when you start to look at the denial that is taking place in all of these subjects and all of these promises that are being made out in a community because they're trying to get a vote one way or the other. The truth lies somewhere in the middle. And I say to myself, we need to be as honest with ourselves and each other as possible. And this is really, really important when you're raising children, and especially teenagers, because this generation of kids will have more information provided to them and more unverifiable information than any generation before them. How do we teach them to find truth? How do we teach them to have cognitive reasoning, to ask the hard questions and say, what is the motive of the person that is making those statements? What are they trying to achieve? Do I have any way to verify this information? And what power does this information have in my life? I say the best way to prepare this generation for the next generation, because I believe we've got to get this right. This is the first generation in all of history that can reach the entire world, and the entire world can influence our kids. This generation will be the leaders for all future generations. Your older grandchildren are the leaders for future grandchildren and their children. And so I think it's important that we talk about personal values, that we be as honest with ourselves as we can be. Now, we're all going to have some level of denial, but you have to ask yourself, when you hear these people speak and you say things that they say things that just don't ring true, you have to say, are they just blatantly dishonest? Are they in denial of themselves? Or they just don't want to face the reality of what's going on? And I do believe that the power of denial in this place on our generation is one of the most powerful impacts on our thinking, on our society, on what we believe to be honest and true. This brings us back to my original thought, and that is we got to get back to basics. We need to be able to sit down with our children and talk out a list of values, a statement of family values. This is who we are and what we stand for. Because if you don't know what you're going to stand for, then you're going to fall for one of these statements that have no possible way of being honest or true. And so it starts with a list of values. Family values, this is what we stand for. And that gives you a foundation to be able to evaluate all the rest of the stuff that's swirling around you and your children. And that's really important on your child, because especially if they're in video games or in these chat rooms, they are going to be given so many more ideas than you would ever provide to them, that knowing who they are and what they stand for and giving them a measure to determine truth is really one of the most important roles a parent can play. My name is Opal Singleton. This organization is called Million Kids, MILLION, millionkids.org. You can look us up. I hope you'll follow us. If you're on Facebook, join Million Kids Supporters. That doesn't mean you have to send us money, but you can if you want. But that is a private training group where I can train people about human trafficking and social media exploitation. If you're willing to support this work and this show, you can do that by going to millionkids.org or sending a check over to the P.O. Box 7295, Riverside 92513. That P.O. Box, by the way, is at millionkids.org. I so much appreciate each and every one of you. This organization is made up literally of hundreds of people that send $25, $50, and like that. And we have some big donors that really hold us together. But we are an organization of parents and law enforcement and code enforcement and fire departments and social workers that care about kids. And they want to be able to get the word out there to keep our kids safe from predators. So think about donating. We'd appreciate it. Send us money. If you don't, that's fine with us. We really appreciate you following this show and participating, and I love meeting you when we get out there. You folks have a great week. Put your arms around your family and let them know how proud you are of them and how much you love them. We'll see you next Saturday at 3 o'clock on AM 590, The Answer.
This message is all about Million Kids, the organization that helps locate missing kids throughout Southern California and educates to keep kids safe from predators. Million Kids educates school administrators, teachers, parents, and teenagers how predators identify a potential victim and the methods they use to recruit innocent kids. BMW of Riverside is a proud supporter of Million Kids. Visit BMW of Riverside at the Adams Street exit off the 91 freeway or click bmwofriverside.com.